Welcome back to the Keep It Clean pod. You are about to see a Keep It Clean conversation. We just getting straight to it. There's no extras. We got a topic for the day, and we got two brothers that are trying to figure it out the same way that you are. The question that we have is, what is the line of holding someone accountable and being understanding of their mental situation? What is the line? And we wanted to break it down, get into it, kind of do some explanations, build a little bit, and go step by step. And hopefully, y'all can catch with us. And hopefully, we hear your comments after we had the conversation. You ready, my man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, how you want to approach it? You want to go? You want to go broad question first, kind of give your answers, and then see if the more we have the conversation, your answers change, or try to build on it, or you want to go vague and get specific.
Let's get specific first.
Get
Uh,
specific first. Okay, go on.
yeah. So first, are we talking about mental situation like a mental health issue? Or are we talking about like just hardship? Like what exactly do we mean by their mental situation?
So I left situation to be a little bit more ambiguous because mental health and saying like things like a mental disorder or mental disability or something like that, I don't want to apply the negative connotation. And what I mean by that is like saying that you have to have a disorder for this to pertain it to, because it could just be that moment. You could
Mhm.
have a high pressure anxiety moment, but you're not diagnosed with anxiety. You don't have high anxiety on a regular basis. Or it
Mhm.
could be one of those that is your situation, or it could be depression, or it could be something, but just leaving it to where it could be right now, or a couple times, or you've been showing this in this season, or it might be something that you deal with on a regular basis.
Okay. Um. So if we're talking like situationally, like somebody does an action and may have a mental lapse in the moment. I think that varies by situation. You got to figure out what happened in the situation to determine how accountability is held. Um, in a like mental health situation, I think that line is a little bit more faded, for lack of a better word. Um, it's you know when you're dealing with somebody that's mind isn't necessarily here, so to speak, it's gonna be a bit more difficult to get accountability to be understood. So then it's a little different.
What does faded mean though? Like when you say faded, is it faded in, yeah, like what does that mean?
Faded in the sense of like it's not such a hard line,
Okay.
like you're not gonna be able to find the line as easily as you would in, let's say, a situational uh event. Um, you know what I mean? Like if case by case, I can look at this and be like, okay, this may apply here, but at the same time, XYZ, and we can come to a conclusion a little bit easier than if it's like a history of, okay, this person has these lapses, there's these times where they're not necessarily accountable for what they're not accountable for what they're doing, but you know what I mean? Like not necessarily in or cognizant of what's going on in the way that we are and how we're viewing what they're doing. You know what I mean? So then in that situation, holding them accountable for what they're doing would be more difficult because they're not necessarily aware in the same way we are. So bringing
Okay.
accountability up is going to be more of a task than it would be in the other.
Okay. So you might raise a good point. So I kind of have a side question to that. In these situations that you just spoke of, is the assumption that we go about usually for, just day-to-day people, is the assumption when you're looking at it that you're supposed to be the calm and more rational one in these situations? And on top of that, if yes, is the assumption that you're supposed to be regular? Do we automatically assume that you are perfectly fine? That's why I didn't want to say certain things like a bad mental health or mental disorder. The assumption is that you're supposed to be perfectly fine while they go through their things.
Oh, like, so am I supposed to be like, if I'm helping somebody go through their situation, am I supposed to be completely okay in that? Like,
Yeah,
completely normal? No, I wouldn't say that's expected. Or if it is, I wouldn't say it's realistic to expect it. Because you're dealing with somebody else and what they got going on, and that's obviously going to affect you because you are dealing with it too.
right. Do you think that's possibly how the general public looks at it? And I ask, like, we see videos, we see like conversations about it, and then they're at least for me, it always seems like they explain the side of, well, they were going through something, so this person should have more grace, or this person should have more leeway because they're going through something. And it's always spoken in almost like a tone of, you see what
Mm,
they're going through, so you should understand and put
mm,
yourself in
mhm.
their shoes and go about that. And because of that, it feels like it kind of that it presents an expectation of,
I see what you're
when you're
saying.
dealing with it. Like, if you're the person, you're trying to draw that line in the sand, it almost presents the expectation of, you just supposed to know, and you supposed to be
Yeah.
good and deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I would say no, probably. It's not generally expected that it goes like people are as understanding as they should be. And people probably do expect people to be more understanding than they give it credit for. Um,
Okay.
but I think it genuinely comes down to just having more empathy for everybody involved in the situation. Like, uh, you want to try to make the best choice for yourself and for the other people involved. And it depends on what's going on. And I can't necessarily tell you if you turn your back, that's the wrong choice. That might be the choice I make.
Mhm.
But I can't necessarily say you wrong for that. It's up to you. Like,
I understand that.
yeah.
I I I think for the general in that question on my side, it drawing a line in the sand, or like trying to establish you might have crossed the line. I I feel that I'm better at it as I know people. Like, we got a little tenure together, because I might try to focus on paying attention to the signs that you give. And
Mm,
it could either be just experience or time together, like, oh, you acted this way when this happened, or you might have expressed, these are things that could possibly touch a nerve. I could say I could do better to an extent when it's people that I don't know as well. And I think there's more of a firm stance where I probably lean on the heavier side of holding the self accountability if I don't know you that well.
mm,
But at the same time, if I know you really, really well, it's almost as if that line comes back. And I try to work harder on not being so firm in it, because I think it gets to the point for me, we know you, you know that I know you. So if these things have been built up and we've had the conversations, or we know that there's certain things set in place, I start to get to the point, it's like, then what did you expect? Because you know that you're going to have to have people around you to put you back in order, and that's
mm,
a toll on them. So you're not only showing that you don't care about me, you're still showing that you don't care about you, because these other people are coming around. And I think it gets tough for me once I see people that I love feeling away. So, like, the more I know you, you might be around me, and you know that if I'm down with this person, you can do whatever you want to me. But if you do it to them, I get firm on that
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Eh, I think, like, I guess with people you don't know, having that line, it makes sense because it's almost like a self-preservation kind of thing. It's like,
right?
I don't, back to the last one off. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I have this foundation of how I move or what I think or what my views are, etc. And it's like, I don't know you that well, but I know enough to know that you may disagree with something that's foundational for me. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
just move out the way, type of thing, or push you over to the side. I think that makes sense. And I also think that to your point of knowing somebody longer, I think that line becomes faded for a lot of people in that way too.
I can
Because
see that.
because like now it's like, oh, I know bro for so long and da da da. It's like, yeah, and cuz been on some wild stuff for a while, like since you've known him type of thing. And it's like that kind of goes overlooked because of the time spent or what the relationship was or how it began or whatever the situation is, people
Okay.
type of thing.
So so
So
so now we done laid the premise, and you that was a great lie, because we back to the question a little bit more detail. So you have a little bit of the time, because I think this is going to apply more to us as we have spent time with people. And obviously, as the older we get, more time is probably going to be allotted. So how do you create that line in the first place? Like,
mm,
how do you have things set up in your mind? What is it? Is it based on number of years? Is it based on experiences that you've gone through? Is it blood versus homie related, or just the bond that's built? And when you start to set that line in place, do you have words, actions that is like, all right, this is a hard line, and I'm basing my line off of this. This is before we get to you let it go or hold them accountable. It's just,
yeah,
what are your hard lines? Like, do you
yeah.
have those?
Don't disrespect me. That's one off top. Like homie, family member, partner, whatever. Don't disrespect me. Don't call me on my
Okay.
name. Don't cuss at me. I don't cuss at you. I don't call you out your name. I don't care what's going on. Act like you got some sense when you come to address me, because that's what I would do. You dig what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's one. Um, I don't play about women. I don't play about children. So if you are weird to women or you got some weird disdain for children, I'm probably not gonna spend too much time around you.
That's a firm one right there, because I feel the very same.
Yeah, like if it's like you got kids, you don't take care of your kids, you're not gonna be my friend. You got you got your girl around and she always the B word when you bring her up, or it's always an issue, or it's some type of aggressive something anytime there's women around, you're not gonna be in my circle.
Yeah.
Firm, yeah, firm stances for me. So yeah, I'll probably say those are like some solid ones. Like don't disrespect me, treat women correctly, treat children correctly. And I'm pretty kosher after that. After that, it's kind of like particulars. You know what I mean? Like we getting into
Yeah.
like what you really think about certain stuff. What would you say
Um,
yours? What would you say yours
I,
are?
I say the same thing for the women and kids, man. It's hard to look past that, especially knowing what we know now, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'll even add, there's certain times where the only way I could do a quote unquote understanding, and this is me offering leeway, is just, it's like you tell me the time frame, and it's very particular on what it was. Like if something came up and it was back in the day and you might have been disloyal to a woman or something like that, that's just the stories. Did you grow from it? That's going to determine, or it was during
Yeah.
that time. But if you know better now, and that
If
kind of
it's a
goes back to
pattern,
the,
yeah.
yeah, or even
On
not even just a pattern,
ongoing,
like just one of those,
consistent, like to this day
you
type of
know,
thing. Like I'm cool.
yeah. So, and I might have more of a firm ground with the like our generation and down. Like if you within 10 years of me and upwards, 10 years down, I have a harder stance on it, because I'm also of the ilk, is not to necessarily say what they did was right. It's just, we know what they did, so we should be doing better,
Yeah, for
type,
sure. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think the other one, and it's the family. It's the family thing, which kind of makes it kind of makes the question a little bit tricky for me, because of how I treat what I call family. So
Hmm.
if I might be harder on family or people that I call family than I am on like the standard friends, significantly, when it
Hmm.
comes to giving that grace and figuring it out. Like my line starts to push towards a
Yeah.
this you with an understanding.
I
But
just now started being hard on family. I just started pushing a hard line on family. And
mm,
it's the hardest shit.
what made the switch?
um Influence from my girl for sure. Just like kind of like getting the outside perspective of what was going on. Um Influence from the homies. like talking to the homies about what was going on and getting that perspective too. Just like, hey man, I don't know if this lines up so accurately. I don't know if you're in the best situation right now, and it's not your fault. So you might have to go see about that. And
Mhm.
just like kind of seeing in myself and taking that step back in some of these interactions and being like, oh, that's how you went about that. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. I wouldn't let that fly if this was somebody else. So it's like
Mm.
now it's like, okay, now let me go do my inventory and go see and reassess. And then it's like, okay, I gotta push this line right quick because now I know I don't rock with that.
So family had more leeway for you than friends.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
Okay. Okay. What? Why?
Because I've like, internalized the whole, your family is your family type of thing. Like that's like kind of like a saying in my family. Like, bruh, it's your family. Your family is your family. So it's like no matter what, them is your folks. So
Right.
not necessarily, you sweep everything under the rug, but you more or less get over it type of thing. Like they're not saying get over it. They're kind of saying like, oh, you work through it, or you don't let everything stop the relationship, whatever, whatever. But more or less, it's like you get over that type of thing.
Hmm.
Like that's your folks. You don't let nobody, or you don't let that come between your folks because that's all you got type of thing. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, but at the same time, if I ain't rocking with what they got going on, how long do I just let that go? So
Mm.
that's what we figuring out now.
Did you ever have an experience where your family put you like between, or you had to make a decision between them or friends or possibly a girlfriend? Because I think there's certain times like trying to determine, we sometimes get into the insecurity piece of it, and wherever your insecurities are stemming from, where they're like, hey, it's him or me, or you're gonna be with
Yeah,
her or me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I don't know if I've had that one myself, but I've been around people that kind of
I haven't
had the
had it
feelings, or
like
the girl might have did it, and it's like you either got to
yeah,
cut off your mom, or maybe not
yeah.
even cut her off, but you have to.
I haven't had it
You
in like a verbatim type of thing, but it's been like insinuated type of situation. Like
know,
not in like a like, oh, it's either this or that, or like we not together no more. It wasn't that. It's like, and it wasn't from that side. It was like, you know,
mm,
like that's what you and it's like, hey, cuz
I, I could be wrong, but I feel like that might be the hardest situation to draw this line in, because
it's
especially if it's like one of those. I can only imagine for those that are doing this while dating, and it could either be your spouse saying it towards your, like, say, parents or brother,
mhm,
or vice versa, where
mhm.
it's like,
Yeah,
because your insecurity shouldn't be here if we were doing the loving family situation that we were supposed to be doing. So,
and that's where the line is funny because it's like you realize that whatever that's placed in from wherever it's coming from is not coming from the correct place. So now you have to draw the line and letting them know that that's not even where you're supposed to be in the breakdown of what we have going on. And like until they want to understand that, the line is there and folks is on opposite sides.
do you do you have to practice drawing the line?
Yeah, it's a daily, like it's boundaries. Like that's really what it is. It's just boundaries. Like at a certain point, and like coming up from like kids, especially black kids, it's like, bro, you be what is it? Be seen, not heard type of thing.
Yeah.
Like stay out the way, don't bother nobody. Like keep, you know what I mean? So a lot of what you deal with, you just take in and you think it's regular. And it's not until you become an adult and you really look around, you're like, oh wait, I don't have to I don't have to put up with that. I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with this either. And not in the sense of like I'm too good for it or whatever. It's just like, nah,
Mhm.
this isn't this isn't even conducive to my daily situation. Like this isn't even conducive to my life. Why would I put up with this on a consistent basis?
Mm.
Who does that? So at that point, and people don't like that line being drawn, like from your friends to your family to your partners to whoever. It's like once if boundaries weren't established before, now it's gonna look like an attack is going on. It's just like, yo, you have never been this
So,
way. It's like, yeah, welcome.
is
It's
that the
different now.
time to establish boundaries? Is that fair? In this grand scheme of things, it is in the middle of something that in the middle of something that's going on, unless if it's egregious, like say if it's not one of your three pillars,
Mhm.
is that
Um,
fair to establish that boundary in the midst of it as that person's going through something or people?
it's fair to establish a boundary whenever you see fit. Like it's a personal choice. So in fairness to you, I can't take that choice away from you. Now,
Mhm.
what somebody does with that choice, how somebody feels about that choice is that's not up to you. But in fairness to you, I can't say it's unfair to in a moment be like, yeah, right here, I can't. This is where this stops for me. I wouldn't say that's unfair.
Is there an expectation to explain the boundaries?
I think so. I don't think it I think you should if you care about, the person and the situation and you truly want what's best for the situation, I think it would behoove everybody involved to have that information. Like, hey, if I'm gonna tap out of the situation, y'all need to know what's going on. It may not help the situation per se. Like it may not be the most vital information for everybody at the moment, but it's just like, hey, right here for this, I can't do this, and this is why. I hope everybody can still handle this. If I can come back and help in a certain aspect, I will. But like to be a full part of this in the way I am right now, I can't do that. I think, yeah, I don't think you would be wrong to say so, nor wrong to explain why. I think you actually owe a duty.
Okay. So is there
So yeah, I would say it is expected, actually. Let me not double speak. Yeah, I would say it is expected.
I'd like to say it is. I think it's difficult because it's handled differently these days in conversation because it's almost like we struggle with the shoe is on the other foot thing. So
Bad.
when we answer that question, I think that's where it ties back into earlier. Is like is as if to me the expectation is while this is occurring, you're supposed to be quote unquote normal. You're supposed to have everything that you have in order with the expectancy that you allow space for them in your space at that to
Mhm,
go through what they're going
mhm,
through, right? Or even if it's the expectation for you to go join them in their space, your stuff is it feels that all of your stuff is supposed to be checked at the door when you come in this house, and so
mhm,
with that being said, I think once they once I'll even say for me, or once the other person puts that shoe on their foot, those standards that are supposed to be clean on paper become murky all of a sudden for them.
mhm. Yeah.
And what might be expected for you to give closure, I think that's a big thing for people. A lot of people want closure, but we also I feel like we live in a time where they're not willing to provide that same closure back.
Yeah.
They'll
I think
ask you why you did this to me. How could you even possibly do that? But on the flip side is I don't owe you anything.
yeah. Yeah, I think I mean that's always something we're gonna have to run into. Like uh it's inevitable. Uh it's very difficult for people to swallow that pill, so to speak, like when the shoe is on the other because I mean it makes sense because it's happening to you now. So
Yeah.
now of course it's like, everything is exacerbated, everything is heightened because now it's on me. So I have to deal with this in a real way, which doesn't mean that you shouldn't be understanding in the aspect, but I can understand why you wouldn't be. But that's also me doing mad work in myself to be as understanding as I try to be. And that's
Fact.
that's where I kind of sit in that space of like just like it's cliche or whatever, but like be the change you want to see in the world. It's like I may not get this from you, but I'm still gonna try to give it because maybe you'll see.
Is there an expectancy for all of you to be on the same type of percentage? Like, say if you in a group, is you and your homies, y'all really rock out. If Nick is 40%, 40%, it's self accountability, and 60%, I'm gonna give you leeway. Is that kind of the expected range that you would expect for the group? Like, do you work
Um,
towards that, or do you kind of like, or try to push that
yeah,
to where
I mean,
it could be an
that's a good
equal
that's a good question.
understanding?
That's a good question. I think because mine is like 50-50 for real. Like once we get outside of like the non-negotiables, it's like anything else is like 50-50. You may feel opposite me on a certain thing, but I won't let it kill our friendship. Like we may, unless it's back to one of those
Mm,
foundational things. You know what I mean? So like with me, after once we get past that, it's kind of like the leeway is there. You can say and get off whatever within the confines of those. So it's like as
mm.
long as you're not in that area, we can chop it. So I don't. Oh, that's it. And I think my homies. I mean, you one of them. You kind of you know how that go. So it's like we kind of mirror that. Like it's kind of like it's a safe space, bro. You can get off the crazy shit. You can get off the wild shit, and you will be checked. And if you run from being checked, we gonna circle back, nigga. We go.
Nah, hey man, that running from being checked, man.
Hey man.
You know as well. You know very much as well because I said it to you, man. You if you run from if you run from the checkup, if you run from the cleanup, it's so hard for
It's so
me to give
bad.
you any type of leeway on the.
Yeah, that's when the leeway
Oh
gets
man,
cut. That's you bring yeah,
yeah,
you brought it around. That's when the leeway gets cut. You can say
you know
whatever.
what?
Once you say it and I'll check you and you backpedal or you don't address it and you just try to move on like we ain't past that, bro. We
You know,
come to the
bro, like,
street, fam. Come to the street.
and that I've been told before, and that person could be right, that person could be wrong. I genuinely am probably thinking about it more as we speak in this moment.
Mm,
But that hard that hard expectancy has been told to me that I am lacking the empathy for someone going through something. Them not being willing to take the checkup or step in for the checkup. Like time's gone by, oh man, you still on that, or I wasn't trying to do this, or you weren't giving me the space to handle it the way I needed to handle it. You didn't even understand because you proceeded to check me or something like that.
mm,
One of those variations.
mm.
It says it's lacking understanding of somebody.
And
Is that
it's possible. It's possible. I
mm,
see. I don't like me. I don't discount it. It's possible. Like I also try to take into account the fact of like I could have jumped the gun and checking you in the moment. You know that may not have been the best time. It's possible, and we can talk about that. But like but for me, that's a part of that conversation. Like once we circle back, that can be a part of the conversation. Like when we circle back to it, and I get into like, hey, that thing that you said back there, what was going
yeah,
on there? And you
no,
come
see,
back
that's
like,
the
hey, yeah, when you got into that, I was going through da 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 da, and I just didn't feel like that was the time to. Okay, that's possible. But now that we're here,
man.
let's get
So
to
look,
it.
let me clear up the question. It's
Okay.
not it's not that it was checked beforehand. It hadn't been checked at all. And to me, you're running from the check. Like I even gave the space. I didn't even say it in that moment, depending on who the person is, because you try to adjust appropriately, right? So
Mm,
sometimes I agree with you, it's not the moment, but you've just been ducking it, period.
mm,
And if I bring it up saying, hey, we gotta talk about this, or you know this is on the table before it, because I think for me, I usually get caught up in that situation of mine never got checked. I never got a
mm,
chance to address you,
mm. Okay,
but
I see
then
what you're
I
saying.
did something to you, and so now you skip past that. So we just going from your moment to your moment, and it's like, hey,
Mm,
nah, I'm not seeing none of that.
yeah, I see
I
what you're
was
saying.
stressed or whatever the case may be because you.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's just a tough time to have a tough conversation. Like we gonna have to come to terms with the fact of like I feel wronged or disrespect or whatever the situation is, and that needs to be addressed. And if you
okay.
don't want to address it, we got to figure out where we go from there.
So then what does self-accountability look like for you? Since that's the other piece of it.
For
We're seeing
me,
the mental, yeah. So if we're trying to just determine that line, what does self-accountability look like?
in the situation, try to determine if I did what was, did my best
Or let
first.
me flip it, since we're
Yeah.
asking about the other person. What is your how does one show you self-accountability? Like what would you expect to see in order for you to distinguish these are the things you should be responsible for before I consider the mental state you're in or vice versa?
Mm, I mean, you just kind of had to show me that you're cognizant of what's going on. Like in
Okay.
a way that you're like cerebrally thinking about it, like not so emotionally off the rails conspiracy theory way, but like in a very like, oh, if this, then I'll do that, and then if that happens, then we'll get to here, and then I should end here somewhere. Like if I can see all of that, and if that's a part of the conversation of what's going on, and it's like, okay, you know what you're doing, you have an idea of what's going on.
Is that for general people or is that for close people?
Mm, oh, that would be more for close people for sure. With general people, uh, generally, I mean, if we like generally, it usually come down to like conversation type of things, and like if you if you show me in a conversation that you have like a decent understanding of the world, or not necessarily understanding like an understanding like mine, but just like an understanding of your own, that you come to conclusions on your own and whatever is like, or even if you're fed your conclusions, but that's what you believe and you find a way to rationalize through them. Okay, cool. Once we figure out what those things are, I'll just place you accordingly and move around. Like if it doesn't align with what I got going on, it's like, oh, okay, for sure, I hear you, and I'm out the way.
I'm
So
actually the complete opposite.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I think for the general piece, man, for the general, I know what self-accountability I have to have when I leave my house
Mhm.
and what's expected of me. So just assuming we all have some form of self-accountability because you are going out into public, you took an assumed risk, or you're doing something to where somebody else might notice you took an assumed risk.
Mhm.
In the assumption of that risk, for the general person, my mind automatically goes to, hey, just give me the facts first. I haven't even considered what state you're going through. Give me the facts, and then I kind of work in it because I don't know you like that.
Mhm.
And so my mind is more bare bones, what's tangible, and then we could build in and it's like add context because me getting those bits and pieces is going to help me understand where you might have been in. I can't do it in the moment. I'm not
Yeah,
great in the moment.
yeah,
You know, I mind my business, you mind your business. In the moment, we hopefully we have less clashes. If something came to my desk and it's like, hey, can you understand what this person's going through? And you give me the details, then it's more of a conversation piece
yeah,
there. But in the
yeah,
moment, if you mind yours, I mind mine, we should be fine. I wouldn't even have to find out.
yeah.
Let
That's
you go with
yeah. That's
the
generally
best case
yeah. I think
scenario,
yeah,
right?
we agree there. Yeah, I think that's
Um,
yeah.
I think for the close though, I, I'm it's similar, but it's different. And I'm gonna say for close people, and close can for me kind of ranges from, man, we've had at least enough interactions where I know I've laid down the groundwork for you to understand me.
Mhm,
I may not know everything about you, but I know for once I know for a fact I've laid the groundwork for you to have a general understanding of this is what he typically goes about, this is what he understands, this is what he prefers, and we good there. I might have a set of rules for you
yeah,
in my handling of
yeah,
it.
yeah. That's
And
fair.
and so with that being said, that accountability for me overall, like from the self accountability to the moment of mental distress, it's almost like I feel like it's like a car. I feel like it's like a car.
Mhm.
Outer shell of the car, not the inside, just outside. Engine, tires, gas, shell of the car is a fact that's needed for it to work.
Okay, I'm
Can't
following
go
you.
nowhere without those things. Oil,
Right,
all that.
right.
Get you from point A to B, doesn't matter. Inside of the car, that's
Seats,
the feelings.
AC.
That's the feelings. And that's not necessary to move the conversation forward necessarily. How cold you want the temperature, that's up to you. That's a preference. It's not mandatory to get the car to go. Where you want your seat to sit, how loud you want the music volume, all that is the feeling part of it,
Yeah, I
right?
see what you're saying. Yeah.
So if I go by that standard, you know what your car needs for you to function. And if you have that check engine light come on, you saw it, and that's your responsibility to look into. That is
Mhm.
your car. You see that light come on, acknowledge that light. You might know whether or not, because we all been there. That yellow light came on because you thought you was doing good. That shit came on and you saw it and you were able, or you tried your best to go, man, I know my car, it could get me 30 more miles and I should be all right. I just got to get over here, hold on for
Mhm.
a little bit. It's going to make it boom. And you put that faith in yourself. That's still you taking the accountability that you could be wrong because that light's on for a reason. So it would be better for you to figure out a way to get it turned off. And maybe you can't right now, maybe you don't have that capability, but you know the light is on and you know something is going on. That can't bypass because that's the outside. That can't be ignored to say, but the temperature was perfectly cool when I was driving. Because you're putting on the front. You're making it seem like everything's okay, but it's not.
Yeah.
You accepting it for what it is, like, oh, the car is running hot. It's like, okay, the car, but if you feel good and you're seeing that lights on, to me it's almost as if you're starting to potentially cover up or pretend, maybe even lie to yourself, because you know that light's on.
Yeah.
So I say that to say, in that same situation, when you're asking me to get in the car with you, I assume that you know about yours. I assume that you know your ride.
Mhm. I think that's the conversation. Like once you're asked to get in the car, when are you like? What's the line of
The
being like, I'm cool on
accountability is
getting in the car?
you knew something was on. If there's no light on and everything's good, I'm taking your word for it, right? Because I can only go as much as you allow me to do. It's not like you're popping the hood on your homie's car to check his oil when y'all go riding somewhere. It's not
Mhm.
like you looking over at the gas and seeing if he's on a full tank or half a tank. I'm going off of what you're telling me. I'm putting faith in you because you invited me in my car. So I'm hoping you would at least tell me, hey man, you might feel a little wobble. I'm aware of it. I got something going on, or hey, the light came on. You know how it is. You know the car did this. Give me a heads up.
Mhm.
I can try
Yeah.
to pay attention.
Yeah.
So if we get to going, that's also the assumption of risk on me to an extent of getting in your car. But you know your car better than me, and I hope if we close like that, my expectation has been placed on you and hopefully on yourself that you would give somebody that warning.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's
Yeah, I think
that's
that's
where my
fair.
line is. If you have indications that your normal functions and only you will be able to tell me what's normal for your particular mentality or your car, just your well-being, if you know how it normally acts, or you normally act, and there might be something different, and it gets to a point where something looks off, I put that on you, and that's where I might draw my line, because you know to at least tell me. I've been doing my due diligence to try to at least make you comfortable enough to, at minimum, tell me I got something going on. I don't need the full details. Hey, might be a little weird today, or just a heads up, man. Something along those lines, as opposed to now we broken down on the side of the road, and you're like, I need your help. Help with what? I Why is
So
the engine smoking? I
so
see it.
yeah.
You
No,
didn't
I
tell
get
me.
that. I get that. I get that frustration. I think I guess the question is then, do you take that frustration and remain to sit in the car, or do you hop under the hood with them?
Nah, I'm gonna hop under the hood with you in this moment. I'm gonna hop under the
Mhm.
hood. But now I know, and you know that I know, you've had car issues before. So the next time I'm over here, what's up?
Yeah.
You good? Because
Now with that, right? Do you take the accountability on yourself to ask that question before you get in the car again, or do you place it on them to let you know what's up with the car?
no,
Still.
I will still. I'm asking.
Okay, cool. I got you. Yeah,
I'm
same.
gonna ask, right?
I got you.
And because and the only reason the only thing that would take me away from asking specifically in that moment is if between this next occurrence and the last one, we've had conversations. We had re-emphasis on this is how I usually maneuver. So we have an understanding because this is what you expect of me. If we realign with expectations and I'm aware of that, I may not ask in that moment because we talked.
Yeah, I
We're
get that.
aware.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, so but if we haven't had that and I might have missed it, I'm gonna ask in that moment, is this what?
Hey, you know what happened last time? Your car straight?
Is
Okay. All right. For sure. I'm with you.
like
Yeah, I'm with you.
they know I get in that car. Hey, remember you said your brakes good? I'll help you check them. Your brake pads? You feel me?
Let me look right quick. Let me just see.
Because you know what I am. I do it. I try to remain so calm. This I think this is a perfect analogy for me. Because even certain times in the passenger seat, I look like this, but my foot pressing down, like, hey dog, you see that? Hit the
Hit that
brakes.
break. Hit that break, man.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I'm with you.
mm.
Finna press the glove compartment like, hey fam,
You know,
you good?
I'm staring at your side mirrors. Every time that blinker light come on, I'm looking at your mirrors. Like, you see what I hey, hey man. Bro, yeah. I think for me, that might be the best way I place it in my mind to assign that hard line on that. And I I I think the hardest part about it is taking that self accountability role as the person not only going through it but also just making that understanding of there's those that know that they're going through it and they're trying. And I
Mhm.
think that's where we kind of have this type of conversation because there's certain people it's like man they know, and that's a different handling it feels like, or it's almost an altogether different question than the ones where they feel like they got it in line and they don't know and they don't see it, and it's two different handlings. Do you take different approaches to those
Yeah,
situations?
yeah,
How
for
so?
sure. If you have an understanding of what you got going on, you know your situation is not the best and you making do, and you showing up the best way you can within that, and you letting folks know where you stand at all points, like the best way you can, I'll give way more grace than the person that's, you know, high and mighty about what's going on and everything is a problem. But like as soon as somebody you always got a complaint as soon as somebody say something about, well, maybe what about if you do this? No, why would I do that? Like if it's one of those, it's like, yeah, bro, I don't have time for that. But yeah, like
Okay.
if you one of the people that's like genuinely like, hey man, this what's going on right now. I might not be showing up the best every single day, but I'm doing what I can and I'm working on it. It's like, all right, for sure. Work through it.
What does that what does that look like for you for those people that know they have a problem? Because I think we all know those people. We know there's people that know they have a problem
Hmm.
and almost seem like they'll either push away your help until it's too late
Hmm.
and then expect you to be there, or the people that relish in having a problem. And
Those are two those are two
that
completely
might be a
different people for me. Those are two completely different people for me. People who relish in having a problem, I'm not dealing with you. Like if you actively shut out solutions, I can't be around that. If you push away solutions because you're like in an active spiral, I can like I can make peace with that and kind of give you some grace in those type of situations. But it is very situational though. Like it's super, super situational.
Uh, another touchy into that. Who gets to determine the spiral?
Situation for me. Like it's what's like for me is like what's going on like around the actions. Like again, like I always say, everything don't nothing happens in a vacuum, right? So it's just like if it's a lot going on around the actions that look like a spiral to me, I probably like deem that myself. And then I may talk to some people around and see what the backstory is, see what some of the history is or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this okay. That's what that is. Okay, cool. And then move accordingly from there. But like the people that, you know, you offer solutions and they just like, no, you offer no, 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 no. And it's like, yeah, after a while, I'm not gonna be around that. Like with I'm wasting my time.
I got three.
Go ahead.
Three opportunities. Hey man, you good? You sure? Hey man, are you good? After that third, hard line for me, man.
That's
And
fair. It's
because especially if I'm making it known that I'm asking you genuinely, like it's not like, hey man, what's up with you? You good? And it's a quick pass by. It's like, nah, I'm emphasizing. I see something. Just let me know if I'm off, or
mhm.
is there something off with you after three? Because I think by that point, if you know there's a problem and you're trying to either tough it out, because I don't like that idea of looking for credit that you went through something. Because why would you want to go through something, and why are you looking for the validation of it? What I mean by that is, there's certain people that have issues going on, and you almost made it harder than you had to just by choosing to stay here. You chose to stay there, and you want me to give you credit for staying there, as opposed to we can work this together, or I can make sure that you don't have to go through something to get there, because you'll also expect me to give you that same credit when you chose to stay there.
Hey, I I'm in a depending like stance on that. Like I can see what you're saying. I could also see somebody's like circumstance or whatever they've been going through playing into the fact that they didn't see the route of the alternate of getting out. Like I could see how
No,
what you went through made
I
you
don't want
stay
no help.
somewhere.
Yeah, or the fact that I did it on my own adds validation. The fact that it was just me, I ain't had you.
I could see but like I don't I that's trauma to me. Like that's a thing that's like learned and instilled into people that
Mhm.
is not from a good place, but a lot of people work that way. So it's like ha- I can give you the grace to be like you need to learn that that's not really the way to go. But until you do, I'm not fit. Like I can just help you at the best way I know how, in whatever aspect that may be. Like I don't know if even if that's just, hey man, I see what you're doing. Keep pushing, even if that's all it is. But like if I know that's your case, like, oh, I don't want no help, I'm not finna be pulling up on you like, oh yeah, bro, let me help you out. I might just disguise it
Right.
another way. I
And
might just say it this way or say it that way. Like, here's this or
yeah,
here's that. Like,
yeah, that still might be a hard line in the essence of, it's like, man, you don't get extra validation for doing it that way whenever we all pull up and we discuss things, right? Because if you feel that sentiment, and then you use that as a shield or a buffer, say if it's a good thing, it's like, I did it all by myself. All right. If
yeah.
it's a bad thing, and they're now, because again they're still requesting your attention for it, it's a, you weren't there for me. It's like you chose that. That's where I have a hard line on that one too. I think we're discussing that,
Oh yeah,
me
I get that.
discussing that, like, I got a hard
I
line
get
on
that.
that one. It's
And
like, no,
I get that,
no.
like playing both sides of it. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
that.
or because choosing to go through pain doesn't, it doesn't add value for me. You choosing to go through pain. Why would you want the process to be painful?
because a lot of
I'm not
people
saying
think,
avoid the process. I mean, you put in work,
yeah,
you sweat,
yeah. A lot of
but
people
making it,
miss a lot of people
you know,
misinterpret that though. Like, and that's like a I think that may be where we kind of separate a little bit. Like I
mhm,
see that. Like a lot of people misinterpret the idea of like getting it out the mud. Like a lot of people misinterpret what that is. Like they think you literally have to go into the mud and roll around and do the whole thing. And then once you dirty from head to toe and you get clean all on your own, that's when you
mhm,
got it out the mud. When in actuality, you'll get it out the mud is from whatever grassroots you was at and you began from, you
mhm.
worked
Yeah,
and you
you build
worked
that
and you
way.
worked and you worked and you got it off. And that's where you started from. Like
Yeah,
everybody's mud is different. And that's,
everybody's mud is different. I think the mud, if it was mud that you had to scrap through, that's different. If it's mud that you chose to scrap to, and because it's still like one of those is all right. I drove to work in a beater every single day, but
Mhm.
you also had a nice car in the driveway, and gas costs the same for both of them. You want me to give you credit that you chose to use the beater instead of looking nice on a regular base, or not even look nice. It was just a regular looking car that didn't look like a beater, but you want me to give you credit for going the beater route.
That's
You
good. I
got
see
from
what you're
point A
saying.
to point B. You
Yeah.
didn't gain nothing from doing it that side. If anything, you might have possibly lost more because if the beater wasn't supposed to go that far, could fall
I'm
apart on the way there.
I'm thinking
So
more
you
I'm
risked
thinking
more.
more in the sense of like you have the beater, you have enough to get another car, but due to like whatever
Nah,
you
that's
got
different.
going
That's
on. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no, that's
okay.
that's like
That's
genuine circumstance, like because
yeah.
you might have had to make a choice between one or the other in the manner of this is a back burner or this is I need this to build now short term gain for the long term goal or hold this aside for the long term necessity or something like I think the worst one for certain people. Still with the car analogy, it's like everything's going good, then you got that speeding ticket. It's like you know what I'm saying. You had something. You was getting ready to plot this upgrade, but this speeding ticket probably threw off a couple months when you're really trying to scrounge for money. You did now. You got to pay that off and maybe do the defensive driver course. That was 600 that you didn't factor
Yeah.
in. It's like you had to go through that. You had to make a choice, warrant or you know. So
Yeah.
those I get that's why I think my comparison is like just you had two cars, so you don't get extra credit for choosing the car that might be a little bit more older and not the classier ride because it still got you from point A to point B, same
Yeah.
cost. That those types of situations because I
Yeah.
can't bypass that and say give you leeway whenever you're going through pain because of that. You knew it was a beater, and so you had a engine breakdown, and now you want me to feel sorry for you and the comeback from there is like, nah, you knew the limits of that. You chose that because now you want me to be there. But at the same time, you would turn around and exclude somebody. And I think I might struggle with that. You will exclude them when it's time to get credit. Not that I'm looking for it, but you would just make it seem like, nah, that was just me. And like, nah, because I'm trying to build the family or the friend dynamic,
Mm.
knowing that I'm typically a loner. So usually I'm in the reactionary role for that. That's not something I go search for. So you came to me for something and I was trying to do what you requested to do. And if you bail out on that end, I have a hard time with that. That's kind of like a line in the sand for me.
Yeah, I
But
get that. That makes sense.
I think the car analogy might make the most sense for me. Because once we inside the car, it's just let me know. But the rest of his feelings, the rest of his feelings. All right. On the parental side,
Mhm.
I think that's separate from the close friends, people. I think the parental side is also something I want to focus on because it's the generations of, especially for Black men, Black families, Black women as well, and just the Black culture of what we've had to go through as a people might be transferring down. You hope for the best, but I think there's a consistent norm. And I might have summarized what I've seen the most. So I'm gonna present it to you. And it's not, Mom, I know you listen. I'm not talking about our family yet. These are just other homies that that we have around. I think there was a strong chance that most of us were raised to check your emotion so theirs could go unchecked.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think that that happens with a lot of parents and kids in general, but I know I can speak more for us, so I don't want people to think that I'm excluding you. I'm just speaking more from what I saw in my day-to-day life. I think there was a lot of us that were raised to hold ourselves in so they can roam about how they saw fit, and they
Yeah,
never had any pushback to that.
yeah, and they got it off because it was their house. You can't tell me how to act in my house, and I pay for you to eat, sleep, and shit in here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
and
gonna be
and
tough. It's gonna be a tough
and
sell.
even while that's factual, it part of that personality to me, when I look at certain things, that personality didn't start once they got their own place. That personality start as a response because you remember the day that you left
Mhm,
home,
mhm.
and then now it
Yeah,
clicks
click,
in
and that
of
that's what
you.
it is. All it is just a reaction to, like, you being with, like, pushed down, like, all of what you felt, what you thought, how you process things being pushed down, pushed down, pushed down by your parents until you got out your house. And then you got out your house and you got your own house. Because that's usually most, like, even as kids, like we said, like, I can't wait to grow up and I can just do my own thing. And it's
Mhm.
like that's all it is, really. It's like I'm in here doing my own thing and you my kids. You're not finna tell me how to do my own thing. It's my thing. But
But then there's a
in actuality, if I have to deal with your things, I think I should be able to, you know?
and that's where the tough overlap gets created, right? Because we had to highlight the parental situation a little bit differently, because there's a lot of stuff that we're acknowledging that you possibly went through and may still be going through on your side, as you have
Mhm.
to now unleash all the stuff that you had to contain for your tenure in your household, right?
Yep. Yep.
But as you are getting that off your chest, you have us who have to deal with that certain amount of time. So in that moment, or those moments of you going unchecked, I think where we also run into a situation is now, later on, as we get here in the adult mind frame ourselves and try to draw that line, they want the forgiveness from you without the cost of honesty.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
let
It's
let me I was
Yeah, go
going
ahead.
through something.
Go
I was
ahead.
trying to figure it out. I grew up this way, you don't know, and these were the things I was going through. So I was only doing the best for you, so I need you to forgive me. You got to let that go, or you
And
should
we're
be
back.
okay with it. That was then, this
And
is
we're back
now.
to what I said at the
But
top. Family is
yeah,
family. You
but
gotta let it rock.
I can't tell you about yourself. So you want me to forgive you and be cool with it, but you don't want me. You don't allow the honesty.
Yeah.
You don't
It's a
allow the honesty. I want to emphasize that you don't allow the honesty back to you,
it's
but you
tough.
want the forgiveness.
It's
I think
tough.
a lot of us have been
Yeah. That's
there.
and that's and that's where I find myself. Like,
Mm,
that's a lot of where I find myself. Of just like, hey, um, I'm not rolling with that. You're bugging. Here's why. And I'm gonna be over here. If the response to that isn't like, well, why do you think I'm bugging? Let's sit down and let's chop that. If it's just a whole lot of you don't know what you're talking about, okay,
mm.
be over there. I'll see you when you come around. If you come around.
So we building. You checked your emotion while theirs went unchecked. They want
Mhm.
forgiveness, but don't want the honesty. What about the situation when you don't reach back in your situation,
Mhm.
but during that time frame, they don't reflect?
Not my problem no more.
Hmm. And
Like,
I,
it's
I,
that
I think that's it.
it's
I think that's another piece on it where I'm not even so much. I'm asking, but at the same time, it's like I think we can admit the place that you're at, and I've been there before, and I think I've kind of built a different type of wall since then, or a different seat for myself. You didn't get there the first time. of them not reflecting because
No,
you
no,
had
no,
to
no.
set that boundary or
Yeah,
that step of you avoiding well, a lot of us have been, if we're breaking it down, caught up at certain steps in this process.
right.
And that forgiveness to lack of honesty piece, that's a tough step.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
one of the hardest steps. I
yeah.
think I
It,
think
but
people
but
not only have a issue getting over, but also just fall back into that space repeatedly
yeah,
too.
I want to be clear though. It doesn't, like, the lack of reflection or the lack of accountability or whatever doesn't affect the forgiveness. The forgiveness is given. Got it.
Okay.
Because that's not it's not for me to hold that. You got that. I'm not even here on a necessarily like seeking an apology, this whole drawn out da da da. Just an understanding of like I bugged out.
And see, that might be that might be a little bit different than what I've seen and what I can also understand from the other side, because that's a step you are able to take. And I think
Mhm.
where that might be difficult for some is because they can't forgive, or they haven't like,
It's
how can
hard.
I
It's
forgive you
hard.
if
Yeah, it's hard.
not only that is like, how can I forgive you if you haven't let me pass step one of
Letting
not
me
making me
like
check my
acknowledging
emotion.
it. Yeah, I get
Bro,
it. It's tough, but like a lot of it, a lot like, and I'll just for me, like a lot of it, a lot of L's you gotta just take. That's what life taught me. A lot of L's you gotta just take. Like on the chin, to the gut, to the chest. You gotta just take it. And it's not necessarily like you don't get a stripe for it. You don't get no badge of honor for it.
now you
Don't
sound like a
nobody
brat.
don't nobody tell you about how strong you is. Like the people that'll do that probably be your partner, probably be your folks if you're so lucky. Everybody is not, unfortunately. So it's like at a certain point, a lot of that, like, what was going on, you gotta just take it. You gotta process through it. You gotta work your way through it to make peace with it, but you gotta just kind of take that. Like, and that's kind of how I figured out to get to that step of like the forgiveness part. That's not even for you for real. That's me. That's my
Yeah.
that's for me to get like I'm not finna hold that no more. So once I pull up to you with the conversation, this ain't here. I'm not here for you to be like, oh, you need to make amends and say what you did and do. All right, we all know what you did. I just need to know if you are at the place of being like, yes, I did that. Yes, I was bugging. I, long as you understand you was bugging, do you understand why I feel like you was bugging? Cool. Move around.
Yeah.
Keep pushing.
Yeah, man, because that's a step, man. Because
Don't pull up to this conversation. Don't when I pull up, get to telling you why you was bugging. Don't get to being like, well, you was bugging too. Hey, 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 will get to me. Let's talk
because
about
during
you
that,
right
because the wicked part is during that phase, especially before you've gotten to where you're at now, it's that beat up process in the L of you distance yourself because you can't say anything. So
now.
you kind of brought up something, but you didn't get the full picture, and they didn't reflect. And then on the the guilt trip instead of reflecting,
Oh
like
yeah.
how could you get how could you feel this way towards me when I was just doing that guilt piece of the conversation? And it comes to the point where it's like, did you practice this? Because this is getting better each time. The closer I get to the sun of highlighting something, like, you are giving me a Denzel nominated performance. Is like every time your guilt trip gets better and better in the place of where growth should be.
Yeah.
I think a lot
That
of
that
kids are
tells you.
seeing that from their place, man. A
And it's tough.
lot of it.
It's tough, man, because like it's like you like them folks been adults. Like, they've been adults for however long they've been adults, and they got an understanding of the world and the way it works and how things should go. So it's like here you are, your little quote unquote young ass trying to tell me something.
Know it
I've been
all.
around. Yeah,
They
yeah,
the
I've been
big
around
head.
this joint for da 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 da, and it's like, yeah, yeah, for sure, that's true. But also, it's like, however long I've been around here, bro, that's time. That's time for me to do analytics. That's time for me to do assessments. That's time for me to make that's time for me to make form opinions and form my own understanding of how these things should work and how this stuff could go. Oh, and by the way, I got more access to information than you ever did. Than you ever did, which is actually forming more of the divide in the conversation that we have to have, because me coming from this place with all of this information, you can't even compute half of this shit. You don't even know what I'm talking about. Words like depression, that don't even compute to your brain. But here I am, I'm a know-it-all. I might be, if we gonna go off of what I'm saying versus what you saying and you understand this.
do,
But
do you
whatever.
do you think that it maybe not even so much just the having access to more information, like let's say if we take that off the table with the rest of what you said, do you think that leads to, because do you think that leads to them doing other actions? Let me iron it out, huh? Because they're not taking the accountability and looking back or taking the responsibility as an action, they end up getting offended.
Mhm.
Like the nerve of you,
Mhm.
how could you say this?
Right.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me?
Play victim. And then you further reinforce the victimhood by going and talking to all other people that's that age.
Yeah. And
And
oddly
then
enough, in that moment, your piece is weaponized as the root of the problem. Because in that moment, you know what often happens, and I think that's why it's so hard to, it's so hard to draw that line of accountability and understanding what they might go to, because we are acknowledging the trauma, but it keeps building on itself, because then it's not even just between us. You go get other members of the family, or
Mhm.
maybe close family friends, and
Mhm.
in
And
that
drive the
moment of
divide
you being,
further.
you feel me, and then in that moment of being more tenured than me at living, your story pitching is better than mine.
Mhm.
Oftentimes we don't
Oh,
even get that
man.
part, because you won't have the conversation with me, but you'll go have a whole conversation with so and
With
so, and then it goes around, because I
Shirley
always,
and you know what I'm saying? Like,
because then,
hey, real quick, hold on, real quick. Let me real quick. Hey, listen, to my family members and extended family members, don't call me. Don't call
because you
me.
know it's coming.
If you have
That's that part.
not, if you have not called me to have the conversation with me and get my side fully, don't call me trying to tell me anything about the situation. That's it. That's all I got. Like that's just, you know what I'm saying? Cause I didn't hit that. I didn't deal with that a couple times of like, you didn't heard from the other party what was going on, and now you want to call me to check me, but you ain't called me to figure out what I had going on within the situation. Check
See,
this
I
out.
might get the,
Get off
I
my
might,
phone.
yeah, I understand that one. I think the one that I experience is the, come on, man, you know how they are. Come on,
Oh yeah,
like
I'm not
you
doing
know
that
how they
either.
are. Like,
I'm not doing that
and in
either.
my, and because in that
I
moment for me,
do.
it's like if
I
you,
do.
it,
And with that, I'm not doing this anymore.
not only that, and it's like, so everybody knows how they are, but no one knows how I am. We only knowing, we only knowing they side on that. Like that, once the guilt trip starts going, they got a team, so you get jumped.
Like
Bro,
that's been my react like my response to like anybody that hit me with the like, oh, but that's such and such to you. And it's like, yeah, and I'm such and such to them. So what we talking about?
yeah,
Like,
I would,
you know
I'm
what I
definitely one
mean?
of those in this conversation. I'm heavily realizing I'm definitely one of those. If the conversation got to them before it got to me, I might be getting aggressive. And when I say aggressive, it's like by the time we finally had that conversation, it is, nah. So what you tell, and why couldn't you say it? Like I'm getting,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, man, because it there's, you went that far out of your way to address this, because usually in that time frame, I think where it hurts the most and what makes it so difficult in trying to establish these boundaries is realizing how much time has gone by since this thing has gone on.
Hmm.
And then now you start dabbling in that space of, can it even be turned around, or too much time has gone by? You start having your own anxieties about it, overthinking it, if especially if you're still in the place or still have the capacity to feel like there's still something there,
Mhm,
or you want something. Either you feel
mhm.
something there, or the fact that you want something. That's such a tough space to be in as the time goes by. And then at the premise of it, you keep walking yourself back to the potential of, like you said earlier, you might have to take that L, because it's not fair to go back and forth with the dance of, is it pride or is it fact that I wouldn't be in this situation if you weren't acting like this? This one's not on me. It actually
Mhm.
is on you. It could be proven, but somehow it's on me to make the conscious decision of understanding your health slider of where it's at mentally, versus you owning the responsibility that you have, and I'm your child.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm your child. So
We have a lot of responsibility, man. Like that's like I don't
Mhm.
think it's lost on like the when you see, the visuals of like the baby, the parents, and they raise the baby up, and then the baby turns to a kid, turns to a teenager, turns into an adult, and as they get taller, their parents get shorter and gets more shriveled, and then one at first the baby was in the diaper, and now the parents are in the diaper, and the roles have switched. I don't think that's lost on me. Like I think that's real in every aspect of the way, even in the growth in relationship part. Like I'm gonna have to teach you a different level of emotional understanding and emotional awareness and communication that probably wasn't available to you up until this point. That's my
No,
response. Like, and
yeah,
if we're going to continue this relationship, it's like that's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to take that responsibility on, and you're gonna
and
have to be open to it. But that's where
because
we
I hope
kind of
we all get there. I hope we
yeah.
all get there, because I understand how, and still also understanding the trials and tribulations that went on with it. Because one of the harder parts of all this is knowing you have to be somehow prepared to take on the villain role,
Mhm,
because they've now spread it to the family, and that,
mhm.
bro, that hurts,
It's
man.
terrible. It's
That
terrifying.
hurts to
Yeah,
take
man.
on the villain role, especially when you weren't it, because now it's put you in a situation where you're looking at your other family different. And it shouldn't be like that's how far
Yeah, and
this car ride has gotten.
and
Like,
that's like I for sure was the villain. Like I probably am. I think I'm the villain right now, and I'm definitely the villain right now in the story. At least two. Yeah, at least two. And it's
no,
like and it's like you I get it. I see why folks feel like that, but I know it's not true. And then when it comes to that, it's like I have to sit with that of like, yeah, that's not true. So anybody that come around and want to had a conversation, I'm gonna tell you what the truth is. And usually, once that happens, they're like, oh, I didn't say all of that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't expect them to. But it's like
yeah,
that takes the party A that's telling the story to tell the truth, which is usually not gonna happen, and party B that's listening to the story to come to party C, or no, party C that's listening to the story to come to party B and go, is that
yeah,
this what it is?
man.
And if you don't want to, if you just gonna take their word for it and run, then hey, that is what it is. But whenever you decide to come over here and get that real tea, I got you. I got you.
'Cause you I think I think I lucked up, and this isn't good. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'll take a positive. I think I lucked up to be in a in a family situation where it looks like, overall, this is even extended family, we take turns
Mm,
being the villain. So,
mm,
it's almost like it's like a clock in shift, and it makes it, "Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool. It's my turn. I got it. This yeah,
I'll
yeah.
hold the villain card today.
Yeah, that's on me." And then the next one come up, and it's like, "Oh, it's on you today, right? If you if you a villain back to back in certain situations, even in my family, we all have to go, all right, man, it might be you. Like you were just here. You doing a double? This
That's it.
overtime?
The crazy part in my family is like folks done been villains so many times
Mm.
that it's like by the time it happens, everybody's just kind of like, yeah.
And
And that's
I
the
don't
issue. That's the issue. Because it's
that's
like
the
where I'm sitting at is like, yeah, that's a problem. We all recognize that's a problem. So let's start working on solutions. Let's not just continue this cycle of foolishness that we've been on. And folks is like, man, folks too old for all that.
and that's the part, man. That's one of the things that bothers me the most amongst the black community, because we get to the point where we're finding positives through the negatives in such a wild way. And even for myself, because I know I get told, and I know I've called myself out on it, when you start to say like, man, you act just like him or her, you act just like him or her, and it's we don't say that in a positive, and we're not even trying to be that, but in the effort of us not being that, sometimes we end up doing that exact same thing because we're running from addressing a certain issue, or we're so busy trying to fight a trait that we feel is coming down the line that we overcorrect. And
Mhm.
oftentimes that overcorrection leads us right back to that particular moment. So bro, I would want us to do better as a people for parents passing that down. Can we start speaking out on like, man, she act just like her mom, and it's like, man, she was just as smart as her, like those things that you would see on TV that they made it seem like, man, oh
Mhm.
yeah, man, he was a well-read kid, just like his pops was. His pops was always in them books. Or man, you know what I'm saying? Outside of just athletics, we give it in
Yeah.
athletics. But
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
with you.
because that villain role is for the birds if you keep having to do that over and over and over again. That villain role is for the birds, man.
Yeah, for sure. That's a fact.
Okay. Okay. So aiming to put a bow on it, because we discussed a lot here and we were kind of spread out. What what is what's your line now? Did the answer change from what you initially said in the beginning? What's your line, and do you have a better percentage with some guidelines?
Yeah. w- my three is my three. But when it comes to like dealing with people, my line is really just taking the situation for what it is fully as best I can and applying whatever help I can at that amount and leaving it there. Like I'm gonna meet you where you are, do what I can, and leave it there. I'm not gonna over. I'm not gonna try to overcorrect. I'm not gonna like completely remove myself from the situation either because I don't feel like that's helpful or empathetic. I feel like that's actually apathetic. But like you, for me, it's like I'm gonna just look at it for what it is. If I can't be a full participant, then all right, cool. If I can only do 30%, I'm gonna do my 30. And that's what it is. If that becomes an issue at a certain point, we can have a conversation about if you need more percentage and what I'm gonna need from you if that's the case. And if we can't get to that spot, I'm gonna keep doing my 30. That's all I
Okay.
got.
Same go for the parental side.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That sticks all across the board.
I say for me, it I still may stand on the side as far as the accountability goes. Similar three, or mine was women, kids, and family specific. Don't cross that line of potentially harming family. And I'm a reiterate the car analogy. Everything on the outside, under the hood, mandatory. Be as factually correct as you possibly can and get yourself from point A to B. We'll discuss the feelings of the air conditioning on the inside, and that more so also goes with the challenge to myself of having to do a better job of continuing conversation in between occurrences, just to make sure we can continuously update the conversation. Maybe you catch on to something before, or maybe I catch on to something before it occurs.
Mhm.
And then on the parental side, right now, I hate to say it, and hopefully for y'all that are listening, we can come back to this conversation and build it. I do hate to say that we're in a position where you have to take an L. I would love for us to get to the point of not having to, and then having a better choice, because during this process you are going to have to deal with the guilt, the the villain role, and your safety is just, if you feel you're at peace with yourself and you feel like you've had that conversation with yourself, you've done the appropriate things to see that you're as up to par as you possibly can be. That's where the hard line is.
Yeah.
That's where the hard line is. So if I did what I needed to do, I just need you to meet me at the table, and this however we handle the table is how we handle the table, but we just want to get there in the first place.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with it.
For sure. All right, man. Well, this has been the Keep It Clean one-off number 3. These will be dropping. Yeah, I think it's 3. Yeah, 1 or 2 or 3. 1 or 2. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll be back. We doing these every so often. Y'all will get them when y'all get them, man. We ain't gonna give y'all too much information. Keep It Clean episodes dropping every Tuesday. New episode just dropped. Go get that. And the F is for... We're gonna let y'all figure that out when you get to the podcast, man. We'll talk to y'all later, and we out of here. Keep it clean, keep it clean, keep it clean.